Those kind of classic black and white movies, they'll get me every time if I ever see that. But still, I think it's a bit easier and it's interesting and fun.
At 75, Chris Norman finally breaks his silence about Suzi Quatro, and people are listening. Born Christopher Ward. Norman on October 25, 1950, in Redcar, North Yorkshire, England. Chris came from a family where music ran through their veins. His dad was a professional singer and entertainer, so from day one, music wasn't just a pastime. It was the heartbeat of his world. When the Norman family moved to Bradford, young Chris was swept up in the wild sound of post-war Britain. Rock and roll, skiffle, and early pop were exploding, and they shaped the way a whole generation saw themselves. As a teen, Chris picked up a guitar and jammed with his school buddies, sharpening his skills while crafting that signature voice, raspy, soulful, and full of emotion. That voice would one day make him unforgettable. Even in his early years, his tone had something raw and real. No fake polish, no over-the-top drama, just pure feeling. In the mid-1960s, Chris teamed up with his close friends, Alan Silson, Terry Utley, and Ron Kelly, who was later replaced by Pete Spencer, to start a band that went through several names before finally landing on one that would make history: Smokey. That name marked the start of something big. Their breakthrough hit like a lightning bolt in the 1970s when they joined forces with the powerhouse writing and producing duo Nicky Chinn and Mike Chapman. With Chris's voice leading the charge, Smokey churned out hit after hit that captured the mood of the decade. Tracks like Living Next Door to Alice, If You Think You Know How to Love Me, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, I'll Meet You at Midnight, and Lay Back in the Arms of Someone became timeless anthems blasting through radios around the globe. Chris's vocals were the soul of Smokey, strong but tender, confident yet full of heart. That mix made every song hit deep, turning simple lyrics into stories people could feel. Smokey wasn't just another band. They became legends across Europe, Australia, and the UK, pulling millions of fans into their world and selling tens of millions of records. What a ride. During this era, Chris Norman wasn't just a singer. He became the heartbeat of every stage he stood on. His voice pulled people in, but his sincerity kept them there. Fans connected with him in a way that felt real, like he wasn't performing for them, but with them. By the early 1980s, after endless tours, studio sessions, and mounting industry pressure, the spark inside Smokey started to fade. The band felt boxed in, trapped by their own success. And Chris, always chasing authenticity, craved the freedom to create something that was truly his. In 1986, he made the boldest move of his career, walking away from Smokey to go solo. It was a huge gamble that could have gone either way, but it turned out to be a total game changer. That same year, his duet with Suzi Quatro, Stumblin' In, exploded worldwide, climbing charts and introducing Chris to a brand new wave of fans. The track revealed a gentler, more romantic side of him, showing that his voice wasn't just powerful, it was full of warmth and emotion that could melt hearts. After that hit, Chris dove deep into solo music, pouring his soul into albums that proved he wasn't just a frontman. He was an artist with depth and purpose. Songs like Midnight Lady, Some Hearts Are Diamonds, and No Arms Can Ever Hold You struck a chord, especially across Germany, Scandinavia, and Eastern Europe, where he became almost legendary. People couldn't get enough of that smooth mix of pop, soft rock, and a hint of country. Music that spoke about love, heartbreak, and finding strength through it all. Unlike many stars who crumble after leaving a successful band, Chris didn't miss a beat. He rose even higher. His lyrics got more personal, his sound more mature, and his performances more powerful than ever. Every song felt like a story straight from his heart. And what's truly wild is how he's still going strong decades later, touring nonstop, dropping new albums, and selling out shows across Europe and beyond. The man's not slowing down. He's proving that real talent never fades. Chris Norman's live shows still hit hard. His voice carries that same raw fire that first hooked fans back in the 1970s. Every note drips with emotion, and even after all these years, he doesn't just lean on nostalgia, he owns it while pushing forward. Sure, he honors his Smokey days, but he never stops evolving. He keeps dropping fresh music, proving that he can balance respecting his legacy while still growing as an artist who's got something new to say. His voice, a little weathered by time but richer than ever, holds that rare kind of truth that can't be faked. You can feel every story, every memory, every ounce of life behind it. In 1994, that magic was officially recognized when Chris snagged one of the biggest awards of his career, CMT, Europe's International Video Star of the Year. That win wasn't just about his iconic sound. It showed the world that his charisma could reach across borders and screens, touching hearts far beyond the UK. Back then, when music TV ruled the scene, this award was a big deal. It proved Chris wasn't just a voice from the past. He was a star who could stand tall in the ever-changing music world. His solo career wasn't riding on old fame anymore. It had its own power, its own timeless energy that fans across generations could connect with. Then, a full decade later in 2004, Chris lit up the spotlight once again. He joined the comeback show on the German network ProSieben, a series meant to bring legendary artists back to center stage. And wow, did he deliver! When he stepped out to perform his classic hit Stumblin' In, this time as a duet with pop icon CC Catch, the crowd went wild. That moment was pure gold, a blend of nostalgia and fresh spark that sent chills down everyone's spine. And just when fans thought it couldn't get any better, the final episode brought an emotional twist. Chris reunited with Smokey for the closing number. The performance wasn't just a show, it was a full-circle moment, a heartfelt celebration of their shared journey that left the audience cheering, smiling, and maybe even tearing up. What a night to remember. But behind all the fame and flashing lights, Chris's personal life has been a whole different story. Calm, steady, and deeply loyal. While many rock stars get caught up in chaos, he's always stood out for one thing: stability. Back in 1970, before the world tours and chart-topping hits, Chris married Linda, the woman who's been by his side through it all. Their marriage began before the fame, before the madness, back when life was still simple and real. That timing made all the difference. Their bond wasn't built on celebrity glamour or spotlight attention. It came from trust, friendship, and genuine love. Over the years, Chris has often hinted, both in interviews and through his quiet lifestyle, that this early commitment kept him grounded when the music world got rough. While Chris Norman battled the chaos of recording sessions, non-stop tours, and the pressure to stay relevant through shifting music trends, his marriage to Linda stayed strong and unshakable. People close to them always describe their bond as deeply private, built on pure respect rather than flashy fame. They made a pact early on to keep their family out of the spotlight and to protect what really mattered, their peace and their love. Together, Chris and Linda raised 5 kids, and for Chris, being a dad wasn't just a side role, it was at the core of who he was. Even when the road called and he spent weeks away performing, he made it a point to stay connected. Phone calls, letters, surprise visits, whatever it took. Family time was his anchor, his reset button when the fame got too loud. That commitment to his kids grounded him, shaping not only the man he became, but also the kind of artist fans could truly relate to. Fatherhood gave him a new lens on life. It taught him balance and perspective, especially during moments when fame could have easily pulled him under. People who've worked with him often say that this solid family base is what kept Chris so approachable and real, even when he was topping charts and performing to sold-out crowds. Then came a major turning point. In 1986, at the height of his fame, Chris and Linda made a bold choice. They packed up and moved to the Isle of Man. This wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a lifestyle reset. The island's peace and privacy offered exactly what they needed: space to breathe, room for the kids to grow up out of the public eye, and a slower pace far from the chaos of showbiz life. The Isle of Man quickly became their safe haven, a place where Chris could write, record, and recharge without giving up family life. Its close-knit community and calm surroundings fit perfectly with his craving for normalcy. And even from this quiet corner of the world, Chris kept creating music that traveled far and wide, proving that you don't have to live in the center of fame to shine bright. The Isle of Man became Chris Norman's personal sanctuary, a place where he could breathe, recharge, and reconnect with what truly mattered. Away from flashing lights and endless noise, he found peace in the simple things: commitment, family, and staying real. It was there that Chris rediscovered the same values that had shaped him since his early days, the ones that kept him grounded while the world chased fame and trends. Now, at 75 years old, Chris Norman, the unmistakable voice behind Smokey and one of the most timeless legends of British rock, stands at a point in life where reflection comes naturally. After decades of topping charts, surviving grueling tours, celebrating huge wins, and weathering personal storms, he's got a clear view of what the music world really is: its beauty, its chaos, and its unforgettable characters. And when he looks back, one name always shines bright with genuine admiration: Suzi Quatro. For the first time in years, Chris has opened up about their connection, their shared moment in rock history, and the deep respect he's always held for her. Their paths crossed during one of the most electric times in music, the early 1970s, when everything felt new, risky, and bursting with possibility. Chris remembers it vividly. "Those were wild times," he says. "Everything felt fresh. Nobody knew where music could go next." In that unpredictable landscape, Suzi Quatro burst onto the scene and completely flipped the script. When Suzi came along, she changed the picture, Norman recalls. She wasn't trying to fit into anything that already existed. She was her own thing completely. And he's right. Suzi wasn't just a hitmaker, she was a trailblazer. With her bass guitar slung low and that fearless attitude, she broke every unspoken rule in a male-dominated industry. She didn't wait for approval. She claimed her space. People today sometimes forget how brave that was, Chris admits. Back then, it just wasn't done. Suzi didn't ask for permission. She just did it. He laughs softly, remembering how her presence shook things up for everyone, even him. "You couldn't dismiss her," he says. "She had the attitude, the talent, and the stamina to back it all up." Suzi Quatro didn't just play rock, she owned it. And for Chris Norman, her fire and fearlessness remain unforgettable. As the years rolled on, Chris Norman continued to prove that true artistry doesn't fade, it evolves. From his peaceful home on the Isle of Man, he watched the music industry twist and turn through new generations, but he never lost his spark. Instead of chasing trends, Chris stayed loyal to his sound: honest lyrics, heartfelt melodies, and that unmistakable voice that could still stop a crowd in its tracks. By the 2000s, Norman was hitting yet another stride, releasing new albums that blended modern production with his classic emotional touch. Songs like Crossover and Don't Knock the Rock showed that he still had that creative fire, mature but never mellow. His fans, old and new, could feel it. The man who once sang about love and longing still had plenty of stories left to tell. Every performance felt like a reunion. Part nostalgia, part renewal, all heart. And Chris didn't slow down. Even as the world changed, he kept touring across Europe, drawing crowds that spanned 3 generations. Parents who grew up with Smokey, their kids who found his solo hits, and young fans discovering his music online. Every show was a reminder that real talent doesn't expire. It ages like fine wine. His concerts weren't just gigs, they were living proof of his endurance, his humility, and his deep love for the craft. Reflecting on his journey, Chris often says that music gave him more than fame. It gave him a purpose. Through decades of highs and lows, he stayed grounded in gratitude, never forgetting the people who stood by him, his bandmates, his fans, and his family. "It's all connected," he said in interviews. "The people, the songs, the moments. They all shaped me into who I am." Even now, as a veteran of the stage, Chris remains surprisingly down to earth. No diva attitude, no ego, just a man who still feels the thrill of picking up a guitar and connecting with a crowd. His story isn't one of burnout or fading fame. It's one of quiet strength, longevity, and staying true when so many lose their way. Looking at his legacy today, Chris Norman stands as proof that authenticity always wins in the end. He's lived the dream, faced the pressure, and come out the other side still singing his truth. Still rocking, still humble, and still unstoppable. Chris Norman remembers the moments he crossed paths with Suzi Quatro like they were yesterday. The tours, the TV shows, the backstage chats between sets. Each encounter, he recalls, had the same vibe: realness. She was always straight with people, he says with a smile. No nonsense, no pretending. What you saw was what you got. That honesty, that boldness, was what made Suzie unforgettable. He describes her as having the perfect mix of grit and humor. She could hold her own in any room, but she could also laugh at herself. That combination is powerful. Chris admired that strength deeply, because behind the spotlight, Suzie carried a weight most people never saw. She had to work twice as hard to be taken seriously. That's just the truth, he says plainly. In a world where so many artists were controlled by labels and managers, Suzie fought tooth and nail to keep her identity intact. She knew who she was, he adds, and she wasn't about to let anyone rewrite that for her. When asked why he's choosing to open up now, at 75, Chris takes a quiet pause before answering. Age gives you honesty, he reflects. You stop worrying about how things will be taken. You just want the record to be fair. And for him, fairness means giving Suzi Quatro her flowers, not as a female rocker or a nostalgic name from the past, but as a true rock artist who broke walls that others only dared to knock on. Suzie deserves her place in history, he says firmly. He also admits that time changes how you see everything. The rivalries, the competition, the silence between old friends. We were all just trying to survive and succeed, he says softly. Sometimes that created distance, but now there's only respect. With a glimmer in his eyes, he adds, when I look back, I'm grateful to have shared that era with people like Suzie. She raised the bar for everyone. In his final reflections, Chris speaks like a man who's seen it all, not just as a musician, but as someone who lived through history. If younger artists ask me about that time, he says, I always tell them, look at Suzi Quatro, look at her courage. His words carry the kind of weight only experience can give, a heartfelt salute from one legend to another. Chris Norman's journey, from Smokey's smoky stages to a solo career filled with heart, has come full circle, ending not with ego, but with gratitude. And if you love this story of rock, resilience, and respect, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below about your favorite Chris Norman or Suzi Quatro moment. Let's keep their legacy alive.